do we, Lee, do you think that the labor shortages, do you think we're going to continue to deal with that in the workforce? Do you see that continuing? And if so, is there anything that, you'd suggest that could be done by a business owner to maybe attract and or find people to work with their company?
Well, a few things here. I mean, one is labor is needed to be able to complete a job. And as everyone knows, that it's a combination of equipment and labor. So if you're using a guy to push a broom, go buy a big blower to make the other guy you've got that shows up more efficient. I think you can solve this in a few ways. I mean, if you're a company that spends a lot on labor, you may be able to improve your internal processes to make people more efficient to deal with it. And you may be able to buy some, better equipment, and guys like toys if they're anything like me. So that's one way. As far as the actual shortage itself, yeah, I mean, I think as long as there's this, as long as the pandemic persists and people are fully afraid of, returning back to a new normal or whatever that looks like, I think it's going to continue to be a challenge. But I think it's anybody's guess as to when that improves. I can say that it's been challenging for us. We've had to put a lot more effort into HR in the last year, just be a lot more aggressive. I guess a few tips I would give is be prepared to give answers quicker. Try and drag everything into the first interview. Forget about having the second and third. You've got to be aggressive if you're going to, bring people on, because there are a lot of people competing for the few good ones that are out there. But yeah, I wish I knew, but I don't have a sense as to when this gets better. I have a feeling it's going to be a while before we see it taper off and unemployment rates going back to where they were. And yeah, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I think it's a reality that you've got to learn to deal with.
But by the way, we have drafted a few different blog posts around this, and we've built some pretty good content around that. So feel free to click the link below to be able to get through to that content that you can go through. Hopefully it provides you with some tips there. Brian, can you chime in on that before you roll it?
Yeah, I would add to that, man. And I wrote a Instagram post probably a month or maybe 2 months back that I got a guy that reached out to me from Entrepreneur Magazine. He wanted to use it. And the quote on the post said, "You don't have a recruiting problem, you have a marketing problem." And the more well-known you are, the easier it is to get those employees, the easier it is to get them to trust you, to your point, Lee, to close that potential sale of that employee joining your company in the first interview. So again, I think it all comes down to being more well-known, letting people know who they're coming to work for before they even walk into your office via social media and any way that you can connect with them. I think, again, makes the world smaller and allows you to pull those people that are probably most in line with your values anyway from the message that you're constantly putting out.
Yeah, I think it's a good point.